The logic from going from Afghanistan to Iraq, I think, is pretty clear. When Al-Qaeda hit on 9/11, the first thing that the administration understood was that bin Laden's organization was not just simply located in Afghanistan, that it was global, that it was a global terrorist problem. The next month, people should remember, is there were the anthrax attacks in the United States.
4 anthrax letter attacks happened in early October 2001. 2 against American media and 2 against outspoken opponents of George Bush in Congress, Democratic Senators Tom Daschle and Pat Leahy. Although the FBI will eventually trace the anthrax to the U.S. military biological warfare laboratories at Fort Detrick, Maryland, the American media still perpetuates the fear of foreign terrorist attacks inside the United States.
The United States must prepare for even more deadly terror attacks.
The Bush administration creates a new department, Homeland Security, and then a system of color-coded alerts.
The administration's attempt to put together color-coded schemes to show what the security risks were for people in the United States was the first attempt to sort of bring home to people here the idea that we're vulnerable and continue to be vulnerable to terrorist attacks. In this sense, the administration used those colors to help further the mantra that Saddam Hussein is linked to what happened on 9/11. And Bush's insistence on repeating the issue and repeating the links between bin Laden and Saddam Hussein led the American public, almost 70% of them, to think that Iraqis were responsible for the atrocity on 9/11.
I think the American public very quickly came to the conclusion after 9/11, not that Iraq was simply or somehow involved in 9/11, but they quickly came to the same conclusion that President Bush did, which was that if you thought through the full ramifications of 9/11, that is a state that harbored terrorists, a state that harbored terrorists who wanted weapons of mass destruction to use, and a state that was potentially producing weapons of mass destruction or had produced weapons of mass destruction, the American public very quickly joined the president in his judgment that Iraq was as much a part of the problem after 9/11 as other states like Afghanistan.
It was during this time, in the summer of 2002, that I realized that the information that was being put out about the danger that Saddam Hussein posed to the United States or United States interests was being grossly exaggerated. Sanctions had weakened Saddam Hussein. The long war with Iran he'd never really recovered from that war. And frankly, he had been bombed by us with the enforcement of the no-fly zones for a dozen years, basically eliminating any possibility that he would be able to reconstitute his military.
After 12 years of embargo, the decrepit condition of the Iraqi military is no mystery to the world intelligence community. Despite this, the Bush administration capitalizes on America's fear of terrorism in order to convince its public that Saddam Hussein is a threat to the United States. Using its overbearing influence at the United Nations, the U.S. government pushes for a new round of international arms inspections in Iraq.
In September, the Iraqi foreign minister declared that they would accept inspections without conditions. We got information about various sites to which we went, and we got other information, and we did examine it critically, and we came to the conclusion that there are a number of sites that we had been to, given by intelligence, which did not contain any weapons of mass destruction.
The idea that Saddam Hussein had vast quantities of undetermined weapons of mass destruction that he was going to either use directly against U.S. interests or give to terrorists who would do the same thing, this was promulgated in the media. None of this came from the intelligence reporting and reports that had been produced up to this time.
In an attempt to do away with global skepticism, Secretary of State General Colin Powell is sent to the United Nations Security Council in New York to present supposedly absolute evidence that Saddam Hussein is manufacturing weapons of mass destruction.
Knows about Iraq's weapons of mass destruction, as well as Iraq's involvement in terrorism, which is also the subject of Resolution 14, that are in red squares represent active chemical munitions bunker. As these drawings, based on their descriptions, show, we know what the fermenters look like. We know what the tanks, pumps, compressors. By now, just about everyone has heard of these tubes, and we all know there are differences of opinion. There is controversy. Indeed, the facts and Iraq's behavior show that Saddam Hussein and his regime are concealing their efforts to produce more weapons of mass destruction. Development, acquiring.
There are 2 points that Powell made in his speech at the UN. One was that there was large amounts of weapons of mass destruction, and the other was that there were ties between Iraq and Islamic fundamentalist terrorists like Al-Qaeda and affiliated groups. We haven't found anything to indicate either of those things are true. And the problem is, if we don't, then the US credibility is shot.
After several weeks of intense search, no weapons of mass destruction are found in Iraq. For George Bush, this is proof that Saddam Hussein is hiding something. As U.S. war pressure intensifies, so does the global anti-war movement. The largest anti-war demonstrations ever draw some 11 million people worldwide in February 2003, but they are practically unreported by the American corporate media. Even without any incriminating evidence, the U.S. Congress passes the war resolution authorizing President Bush to attack Iraq.
Well, of course, the US had said for a long while that they did not feel that it was necessary to have an authorization of the Security Council.
Well, the reason why the United States didn't let the process continue on and on, I think, is there are multiple reasons. The first, is just a pragmatic one, which is we had troops in the region, and you just can't keep troops indefinitely, that number of troops in a region on hold. Sooner or later, you have to either bring them back home or you have to use them.
I was at the time wishing that we would have more time, and therefore I was disappointed when they eventually bypassed the council and went ahead with the armed action.